June 6, 1944, American units landed on Omaha Beach, unaware of the massacre that was about to occur. As those men waded into the water, they could not have known that their chances of survival that day were 1 in 4. Those men were outnumbered by hundreds of thousands of bullets. According to determinism, these men had no free will. The 10 million men who were drafted for World War II had no free will, and the men that day who landed in the water had nowhere to go but forward. The atoms of these men led them all to a moment of almost certain death. That all changed with the night. We know little about him, but what we do know is that he is not of this world. While everyone's atoms are following a defined course in our universe, the night's atoms are not. His world is gone, and when you have no world left, then what course is there to follow? The night is the only one in our existence with true free will. Only he has the ability to change lives. Determinism states that the American men sailing toward Omaha Beach were meant to die that day. The night arrived in shining armor and rerouted those lives. The night deflected bullets, destroyed anti-aircraft guns, and lifted men out of harm's way. Before you could have shouted, "It's a bird! It's a plane!" The night had saved hundreds of lives whose fates were previously set. The night could have acted selfishly, watched as we lived out our lives, but he chose not to. The one man with free will chose to save those who were not meant to survive. With the night, death is no longer a deterministic guarantee. At any time, at any place, the night can save us.
Your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Extra cautious. Because no one knows what they're doing. Half the time you don't know what this guy's going to do without them. On a track, a lot of men will spend a lot of time developing rules and ways of safety. I find myself being very cautious on that.
Do you have any special advice for young people who drive?
Take things easy and drive. Might say it might be mine.
He was not born the height of a man. He was born much taller. Even as a child, he could stand over. However, she chooses to be the height of a man. Why? Because he thinks himself as a man. And one man changes size often. Sometimes to protect us. Sometimes to hurt. Sometimes it's scary and humiliating. I believe one day that man will become a giant. Conquer us all.
Absolute airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Beauty is something else, something inexplicable that each person carries inside. This form of beauty related to her vision. There's a great division coming about on this planet. There are going to be a lot of people who will die because they just don't know how to live. They don't know what life's about. They don't know how to give, how to love, nor do they want to. And those who are beautiful enough, I don't mean physically, but something beyond that, they will have the chance to learn how to fly, to be beautiful, to rise above the level of the normal human, to be superior beings first, and eventually gods and goddesses.
My God, it's heaven. There's air here.
Ed, what the hell are you waiting for, man? Blast her! And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. And
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
What are eyes, anyway? How do we see? Our eyes are little round balls, about 1 inch in diameter. And in front of the eye are the curtains of skin we call eyelids. But if we could take away these coverings, which help protect our eyes, we would see something like this.
Apollo 12 to Houston, can you read? Apollo 12, this is Houston. Go ahead. We shot the lunar alien and recovered their eye. Copy that, Apollo 12. Have a safe takeoff. Over.
Once upon a time, a woman woke up on the moon. She did not know how she got there. She did not even remember her name. All she knew was that she was the queen. Not yet. She could not find her subjects. She searched and searched and searched, and yet she remained alone. Surely her subjects would soon return. When they did, she wanted to be ready. She would be a good queen, a fair queen. So she built a barbarian city beneath the surface of the moon. A city with houses to live in, parks to walk in. She conjured air for her people to breathe. Finally, she built a throne for herself. And there she waited. The lowly monarch of an empty world. Until one day, a ship touched down on the lunar surface. The queen was ecstatic. Had her people returned at last? But it was not to be. Injured, betrayed, once again alone, the queen stumbled back to her vacant metropolis. To her surprise, there was now a message carved into the rock above her throne. The lonesome queen of Ruma above shall be strong and fair and kind. She'll rule the earth, both feared and loved, with night and king beside. When the queen would no longer be alone. She was done being the ruler of an empty world. The very air she had created for her people, the queen now built a ship of clouds and left the moon forever. She would be a good queen. She would be a fair queen, whether they accepted her or not.
have appeared across the southeast. Every night, their breathing grows louder, and it's making everyone nervous. Yesterday, the university released X-ray images of them, revealing a metabolism resembling unstable nuclear reactors. Everyone in my neighborhood evacuated as soon as they heard the news. Except me. I want to see what happens. Tomorrow night the moon will be at its closest all year. I believe the moon's alignment with the crescent heads will release a sort of heat wave. You can already feel it in the air. A pulsating warmth from those crescent features.
He began like most of you, a small boy in a small town. It was not an easy living. His parents were sharp like whips, and his classmates were sharper. The boy would get up every morning to clean his daddy's shop before going to school by himself. All by himself. On those long, lonely drives to school, the boy would think about his role in the universe. He liked to think his role was to help. Help not himself, but everyone around him. But in order to help everyone, he believed he first had to win, at any cost. During one drive, he was particularly distracted by his thoughts, and he crashed into another car. The boy stepped outside and saw a dying man crumpled in the wreckage. The boy tried to pull him out, but the man was impaled between the seat and the wheel. The man looked the boy in the eye and said, "You won, little bastard. You won." Then the man's life drained away. The boy cried hard as he tried to yank the dead man out. Out of pain or exhaustion, the boy fainted. And he had a heavenly dream. The boy was on a cliff by the sea. He was very afraid. A car was rushing up behind him. If the boy stood still, he would be hit. So the boy dove off the cliff. As he fell, faster and faster, he believed harder and harder. And just as he was going to hit the water, the boy was swept up back into the air, and he found himself flying over the sea faster than an airplane. When the boy woke in the street, he still believed, and he found himself flying away from the scene, Win, at any cost, so that I can save everyone, the boy thought, as he cut through the warm, open sky.
Oh my God!
always remember, others may hate you. Those who hate you don't win unless you hate them. And then you destroy yourself.
I'm recording now. Tell me everything.
I remember when I left the Horned Serpent. I landed on your moon first. And you knew better than to set foot on your world. And I wondered whether you all would accept me or not. To find the answer, I have run an experiment. I produced 3 beings out of myself. The sun, the night, and the queen. All 3 of them are extensions of me. They are meant to test your world, and they will go mad, each in their own way. Your world is not kind to them. Your world will never be kind. Their sacrifice will make me realize that I can never risk stepping foot on Earth either. The closest I will ever be to your world is right here on the moon. One more thing. It is inevitable that the sun will become the king of the Lunarians. Once his transformation is complete, I must destroy him. For he will be one of the most dangerous leaders in the universe. The king must perish. I am sorry, Mr. Floyd. No human was ever meant to hear what I have said.
wanted to welcome them. I wanted to welcome all humans to our kingdom. We all could have been great together. We could have all been peaceful. But my invitation was met with pain. A bright, burning pain. I should have known. Their entire world is built on inequality. Even their peace equation is an inequality. Night, you are now blind, deaf, and mute. You cannot taste or touch. As long as you stay on Earth, none of your senses will return. But you can get everything back. Our prophecy guarantees this. Join our kingdom and become a prince. Run alongside me. Rule with our king.
There will be no physical altercation. I will not bring about an end with that of my own world. The only way to destroy the Crescent King is to render him as fiction. The same way your mythology and urban legends to the power of gods and monsters. He will have no authority once no one believes he is real. I must also render myself as fiction. I have involved myself too deeply. Like your world, I will be a necessary sacrifice. No one will feel pain. No one will be killed. This world will be fictionalized.
Ed Dwight did not blast himself. It was a cover story. It was Nixon who killed Ed Dwight. Nixon was no god. He was not even a man. Nixon was only one of many survivors. He did what we all secretly wish to do, but cannot. Nixon used his power to erase history. Nixon erased the past. Ed Dwight was twice the god that Nixon could ever be. He was bold. He was kind. He was good. In our world, Ed Dwight never went to the moon. Instead, he creates monuments. In our world, Ed Dwight preserves the past.
Many people share your experience, Eli. Every testimony is consistent, but from what I've gathered, you knew about them before anyone else, so tell me, how did it all begin?
During an evening of fishing, a friend noticed a peculiar cluster of stars, unlike any of the surrounding celestial bodies. They were slowly growing in size, in unison. I'm known as the town's local astronomer, so she notified me of the phenomena that evening, and I immediately sailed out to her position. This was an event I couldn't ignore, but when I arrived at the coordinates she had given me, my friend was absent. Her boat was nowhere in sight.
Did this concern you at all?
I figured she went back to the town to get some rest. After all, it was almost midnight. After I positioned my telescope, I proceeded to examine the star cluster. At first glance, it did appear that they were growing together, but they were also passing by other stars. At this observation, I realized that they weren't growing at all. The stars were slowly falling toward me. I watched for several hours more until they entered the stratosphere, at which they dramatically increased in speed, hurling toward the sea.
Almost like comets. How fast would you say they were going?
I remember that in the span of a single blink, the stars had traveled from the top of clouds to just above the surface of the water, and it was just above the sea that they paused, hovering quietly over the waves. I could see that they weren't stars at all, for organic tendrils dangled from them. I was reminded of a starfish. The largest of the stars then addressed me. Eli, the Crescent King arrives in 3 cycles. You are his container.
A container? What did you take from that?
I wasn't sure at the time, but I did believe that 3 cycles corresponded to 3 days. Just as I made that connection, the starfish jettisoned back into the sky, causing tremendous waves, knocking me off my boat. The telescope had snagged onto my sleeve, and as it fell, it pulled me to the seafloor, where I saw hundreds of sunken vessels, some of which appeared to be ancient in origin. But most appalling was the boat I found myself slowly landing upon, for it was my missing friend's vessel, and her submerged body laid nearby. I broke loose from the telescope and swam back to shore, where I fell unconscious from the exhaustion.
Do you know of a William Rice or Bert Essex?
I do not.
Well, they also went missing in the vicinity. Do continue.
When I awoke, it appeared that an entire day had passed, and 2 cycles were left before the arrival of the Crescent King. I was afraid. These were beings that were unimaginably faster, larger, and more powerful than myself. Just after this realization, I was violently thrown across the shore and landed behind a large stone. I looked about and realized that I was no longer in my own body. I looked off to where I once stood and found my physical being standing motionless. It appeared that my consciousness was extracted. Invisibly, I hid behind the stone as I watched the translucent shape of a massive creature lightly nudging my figure with its massive limb. It was the Crescent King, but there was still some connection. Some quantum element was left undisturbed during the hijacking of my neural networks. I could hear the Crescent King's thoughts as it explored my brain, testing my mental capabilities, akin to an individual trying clothes. This ritual abruptly ended, and I was soon sent back into my own body. The momentum at which I was returned knocked me unconscious once more.
Did these periods of unconsciousness contain any further messages?
Not that I recall. When I awoke, another day had passed, and I had one cycle left before becoming a despicable container. So I planned to spoil my body, make myself unworthy of any habitation. I ate sand, drank salt water, tore at my skin, all to discourage any hideous progression of events. This only furthered my fatigue and eventually led me to falling unconscious one last time. The last thing I recalled was a massive entity falling from the sky and crashing into the sea. The Crescent King had arrived. I don't remember much else.
Well, a vacationing family found you and you were sent to the hospital. You're not the only one with these stories, so I've been sent to get these testimonies. But you're luckier than most. I'd say half of the others are catatonic. A few cases got into the headlines and threw the whole East Coast into a panic.
That's good.
Good, huh? That's a funny way of putting it. You really believe this stuff, don't you? You think you're a container, this Crescent King?